right straight to public comment. I think we have the Massac County High School Student Council for presentation. So if you're ready.
Come on up, Miss Porter.
We don't bite. We don't bite over here.
Hello.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, we're student council. I don't really know how to start this off, so.
Why don't you just introduce yourself first, and then we'll go from there.
I'm Mason Searcy, the junior representative.
You guys know me, so.
No, I don't.
No.
don't know
Say
you.
your name.
Lauren Porter. Go ahead.
So glad to have you all here this evening.
Thank you.
Take a deep breath, everything will be fine. There you go.
This is how you learn to get in front of people.
That's right, this is how you learn.
Go.
Alright. In August, we gave registration tours to the freshmen coming in from 8th grade, so that way they would get the layout of our building. They know which classes to go to, stuff like that. We also opened the clothing closet so people could have clothes during the wintertime and fall. We also worked on homecoming floats so everyone can enjoy the parade, nice floats and stuff like that. In September we actually had the homecoming parade. We also had 5 pep rallies to help cheer up the community, stuff like that. Kids got really happy, especially during the games and all that. And during that time we also had the Stuff the Fan food drive at the high school for weekend blessings. It was a nice time. In October, we worked on the Caveman Education Day. It's really helpful to these kids around there. We ran children games and helped feed reenactors. There was also a haunted trail at Fort Massac Trunk or Treat. That was really fun. I really enjoyed that myself. In November, we were selling butter bread so we can buy hams for Christmas meals. And we also held the MES Fall Festival. This also kick-started the school food drive for Christmas meals.
So in February, we are going to sell Little Caesars to help for our student council fund for like Christmas meals next year and stuff like that. And in March, we might have a clothing drive and shoe drive to replenish the clothing closet. In May, we're going to sell water at the 8th grade and high school graduation.
How many Christmas meals do you think you provided?
200.
200. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. You helped with the weekend blessings also, and student council is a very vital part
Yes, it is.
of this of the school system.
I heard you said you give tours of the school to freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably give them to old school board members too, wouldn't you? Go around.
Porter won't take me.
Well, I get lost out there, I think.
Well, the reason I was kind of adamant about this was I was just absolutely, when I got to go out there, Faith and they've got to show me all, I asked them what they were doing, they were so busy. And then I got to see all the boxes and stuff that they had gathered up. But I'm sure there are other organizations doing the same thing. But I think we need to bring these organizations to light and let the rest of the community know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because it would be easier for them to be able to take that message forward.
Yeah.
And that's where we want you here. We want to see it.
I'm sure that many folks in our community that has no idea all the good things that you all have done already this year. And in past years, I knew a little, but wasn't aware of, of all the things. You're doing things every month, or several things a month sometimes. So that's good.
And you're the president or vice president, or
I am the junior representative.
you're the junior representative. And
I'm the president.
You're the president,
Oh.
Madam President.
Yeah.
There we go.
You assign duties.
Yeah.
There you go.
Glad to have
Hey,
you all.
thank you all very
Good
much
job.
for
Good job.
the job y'all do
Thank you all.
and continue to do. And
Dude.
we'd like to thank your sponsor over too, because I know she puts a lot of time in this
Yes, you do.
also with you all.
Yes, Ms. Jones has turned student council into what it's supposed to be.
Perfect.
I had to be up at Brookport that day delivering, I think we were delivering meals up at Brookport, and here they come up with one of our buses. And they had box after box after box for Brookport kids. And
Wonderful.
yeah,
Y'all
so
done a
you,
good job.
did you deliver that to the schools? Is that
Yeah,
how
we
that
deliver
worked?
it to
And
the
then
schools.
out from the schools from there? say you had a couple donations from,
Lafarge was wonderful. They gave us a $500 check this year. So, and then we do a food drive the first Saturday during the parade at Big John's and Save a Lot. We get a lot of our food from there as well. And then we had some private donations.
How many total are in your student council, would you say?
40.
40.
40, that's a good amount.
That's some from all grades, freshman through.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
I'm proud of it.
Great.
Very proud of you.
Yes.
Great job.
Good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. Be sure to give you
Yeah,
all
oh, that's how you make
Yes.
Good.
great leaders.
Yep.
What you all doing, so.
Thank you for coming in this evening. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Even though we know you've been dreading it all day, come on, see what's so bad.
There you go. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything from union? Nothing this time?
Not this time, I'll see.
All right, well, thank you. I'm gonna go with the consent approval for minutes, financial treasure report, and bills and payroll. And does everybody have a chance to look at those?
Yeah, and we can try to answer some questions. I know, since Deb's out, if you have any questions, just holler.
I just had one, and I think it's been covered before, but I can't. The Frontier bill we pay, what school is that, or is that up here?
Now, the Frontier is one of the contracts that we have to pay. We can't get out of it, so we have to
Okay.
pay it, but it was for the internet.
Now, this is the last year for that, isn't it? Or-
I think so. I
it's
think we're
last
coming
year.
up on the last year.
only?
It was either, I forget, it's either Unity.
it was Unity.
Yeah, I think it was Unity. It was one of the county school
Okay, yeah.
internet.
Okay, because I saw it, and I thought we
Yeah.
But to
discussed
get out
that
of it,
before.
you have to, you either have to pay the full, what it would be, or just keep
Okay.
paying it. And so just as a backup, we keep paying it.
Okay, I thought it was something like that.
Clearwave is.
Clearwave is at all of our schools
Most
now,
schools now.
yeah.
And it's working well.
Yeah, I think so. I haven't heard any issues with it.
Are they keeping the cost what they said they'd keep it?
And nothing's changed that I know of. Everything is pretty stable right now, and we've had a couple glitches here and there, but mainly because of our setup, not so much Clearwave. But now everything channels through the high school to all of our schools. So we have a central hub.
I guess one thing I would like to say is I want to make sure
Right,
that
that
it is
goes
clear
to-
that I am not a paid employee of the district. I've had several teachers come up and congratulate me on my new job. I cannot work for the district, nor do I want to work for the district. I have,
You're good.
in this interim, I have found out that a lot of school districts have a board member as their treasurer. They don't have another person appointed as it. So, you know, when the board reorganizes in April, that might be something they may, you know, the board may want to look at. I found out very quickly that our signature cards at all the banks were incorrect. And we had some people that were deceased, retired for years, that were able to sign checks. I found out something that I never really even thought about. Every other board I've been on, it takes 2 signatures for a check. The school district not. It doesn't. It just took one, the treasurer. But, I mean, there are a lot of checks that have to be written. It's not like the other boards that I'm on where you might have
A lot of checks.
50 checks a week, you know.
This is
not
a lot
hundreds.
more than that.
But they both have to reckon. There's still 2 people that look at it. They both have to reckon. They just don't both sign.
Right. So, whoever writes the checks shouldn't be reconciling bank statements. I mean, that's an
Right.
auditing
Auditing.
thing. But for right now, I am okay to sign the checks for the district. I am not paid by the district, so please stop that rumor wherever you hear it. I'm not kidding you. I cannot tell you how many teachers
I hadn't heard a word about
and
anything.
staff have stopped.
I don't
me.
think most people know.
Yeah. I think it was just the way it was presented, you know, in the minutes. It was just that I was the interim treasurer and I am the treasurer,
Yeah,
but
and I
You're
meant to
just
say
doing that because Debbie is ill.
because
Yeah,
it
but
was
doesn't
an
it sign it?
emergency, yeah. And actually, Jason, when I was doing some research on the treasurer, I did find where it said that if your treasurer is gonna be out for a period of time, it should have someone appointed. So we did exactly what the lawyer told you, we did exactly what we should.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Kathy, I certainly appreciate you being able to
Take
do
time
it.
out.
And yeah, take time out of your, cause I know you've got a busy schedule, but to be able to do this right now, in this interim.
Well, it has worked out because everybody else works usually out of the city of Metropolis, so it's easier for me to run down here and sign checks, which that's fine.
Okay.
And we're making it fine. I would ask if you have any questions on the bills, you make sure you let me know by that Monday morning, so that if I don't know the answer. Jennifer and I were trying to do that, and it just never has worked out. But, I, along with, I'm sure everybody else here, hopes and prays that Debbie gets well really
Right,
soon.
amen on that.
And she can do it. She can do it.
Okay,
She was doing a lot better than
is there, any more questions on the minutes, financial statements, reports, and bills and payrolls? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion?
Okay, Larry made the motion.
Second.
No, Donnie made the motion.
However you wanna check it.
However you wanna check it, but just be like.
Any more discussion? No more discussion? Kathy, roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Larison,
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes, Mr. Summer,
Yes.
Ms. Steele.
Yes.
Mr. Souders.
Yes. Going next to the superintendent's report.
There's some hard copies, so you don't have to squint.
I need to also make sure everybody realizes I don't get paid to be secretary tonight either. Larry reminded me of that one.
Okay,
I'm a jack of all trades.
we'll try to get through this pretty quickly. I sent a lot of this out and just wanted to share it publicly in the meeting. We got our Remind stats in. I think our teachers are doing a phenomenal job communicating with parents, especially through that. That's just one communication system, but that includes messages, phone calls, and everything. And if you look through there, we've already had 52,000 conversations, that's the two-way communication, where at least it's not just an announcement, it's someone asking a question, someone responding. So just wanted to comment on that, and I appreciate all the parents signing up for that Remind system. We're starting to use that more and more. The Illinois Assessment of Readiness came out last week with a tentative test window. This has been up in the air. I wanted to include this in the board report so you guys know as this starts to be communicated more in the public. We used to take a test called PARC based on the Common Core. Illinois is switching to the IAR, but it's essentially the same test. They hired a new company to create the test, but the same test this year is going to administer it, and they have the same practice items and the same previously released items. So even though it sounds like it's going to be completely different, I don't believe it's going to be different at all. We'll know for sure after we open up that assessment window. But I included, just so you have that information, the tests, so that you know what's being required by the state for each grade level. The minutes testing you have to take with a grain of salt. They allow for a lot longer time periods than what we will actually end up using. That's just the longest amount of time we can allot for those tests. So most of them are 60 minutes for the math, and you'll notice that some of them are non-calculator, some of them calculator, which is important. And then on the English language arts on the next page, there's fewer tests, but they're for longer periods of time, and that's because they have reading passages. It takes a little while to get through that. So again, none of that has changed. There was a lot of speculation earlier that was going to change, and we don't think it has. And then, oh, sorry, my Remind charts that I referred to or ago were on the, we're after those. Got them out of order. 52,000 conversations total. So,
Wow, it's quite a bit.
yeah, and that's just at the mid-year mark, which is more than we had all year last year. So I think there's a lot more communication going on, and I think at least we can track it
now.
Yeah.
Through this
And it also helps, there's a lot of unintended consequences, I think, from opening those lines of communication. So I've seen everything from teachers just explaining what to do to giving specific examples how your student can get better at a certain subject or something. So it's a quick and easy way, and it tracks, the teachers can even use phone calls in that system, which we found out was very helpful in months past. Got the monthly expenditures are in there. We were at 1,767,000 for December. That was lower than a couple other months, but that was because those bond payments had shifted. So really, you kind of have to transpose a couple of those months there. The green and red for FY18 and FY 2015. Those bond payments came late. They're due November 30th, and sometimes they post after December, so then it shifts, they kind of flip-flops those two. Yeah. So really, if you look at those dots in November, the green and red really should be in December, and that would give you a more accurate read, because those bond payments came, and that's the bond principal and interest that we had in December. So that's a pretty hefty payment. Cash balance is down a little bit from last month, but we're still holding strong, just over 5 million. If you compare that to last year, we were just over 3 million. So we're still doing all right there. Some important upcoming dates. I always try to throw those on at the end. We've got a district leadership team meeting, 3:30 this Wednesday. Of course, you're always welcome to attend. Friday, February 1st is our 11:15, 11:30 dismissal, depending on the school for the school improvement meetings. So we have a half day for students on Friday. And then a couple of weeks from now, on down the road, February 18th, President's Day. And then we have March 1st, another student half day. And then March 4th is Pulaski Day, just looking ahead. And then I wanted to give a shout out. Last time I did this was November. And I recognized Patrick Eckelkamp and the Veterans Day program he did at Jefferson and Franklin. I thought it would make sense to recognize the junior high girls. This time they won state in their Class L, and they had some pretty stiff competition. I was up there at those games, so I was very proud of those girls, and Abby Kaler and Mallory McVeigh, the coaches. And also, kind of what Mr. Summer was saying, we've got a lot of organizations doing things for the community, and this is a service project that the junior high is doing. They have houses now, loosely based on, similar to like Harry Potter, if you've ever seen that movie, but has nothing to do with Harry Potter. But every kid is in a house, and the teachers lead a house, and they have different competitions, both academically and service projects. And this was one of the houses' service projects to raise different items for Project Hope. And they had a couple truckloads of stuff when it was all said and done for Project Hope. And Project Hope has been bringing different animals out to see the kids and kind of promote the adoption, and I know several have been adopted because of that, including one at my house. So,
Congratulations.
yeah. So anyway, I think that's a good partnership, and those kids really seem to take ownership in that one.
Yeah, I think
Proud of the
probably
junior high
that's
kids.
something through the years. There's so many good things go on in our school district that we probably take it for granted a little bit. Parents of the students and probably know it, but as a community as a whole, doesn't know all the good things that, we've got a great group of kids.
You know, we got 12 meetings a year, and there's, with the things that's going on in our district, there's absolutely no reason we can't see a couple of
Spotlight.
kids every month
I
and
think it'd be
spotlight something,
great.
because the people in the community are more apt to support them if they know what's going on.
Yeah, what's going on?
And
Absolutely.
the coffee break thing's been going pretty good too, Jason, where he's been going on the coffee break also.
I can't get AM radio.
I'm not very good on the radio, so that's always kind of a concern. But
Well, I've listened to you.
but Kim does a great job.
Yes, she does.
She
I've
is
gotten to
doing
know
it.
her, and she is
She's,
really good.
She's very helpful, and anytime she sees anything that she thinks she needs to help promote for the school, she's there, and she's offered to help teachers anytime they have something going on. She's definitely a good partner for the schools. So
She is.
I hope WMOK continues to thrive. They're expanding. They're doing some new things with streaming, and I'm happy for them. I hope she gets that, keeps that going.
We definitely need to continue that partnership.
Yeah,
It's
she's
been
been
around
very
a
good
long
to us.
time and need to definitely promote it and continue that.
That's all I have. The vocational discussion, I've got a couple more meetings set up, and then I'll have some more information on you. I just wanted you to know I haven't forgot that yet. Because you had mentioned that at the last board
Yes,
meeting.
and I talked to, who I've talked to in the last couple of weeks. I've seen a couple other people, but I thought maybe we could add to our mix. You said that you're gonna talk to Kristen.
Yeah, I've got a meeting coming up with Miss Shelby. I've got a phone call in. We'll get together probably on the phone tomorrow, and I think there's some opportunities there that we can.
Do some,
Yeah, I grew up with her, and I feel like she'll work with us and really help us build that partnership. So it'll be a good thing.
For what?
we'll build that partnership.
Heather, I talked to her, and I think we need to include her, because she might be willing to help us out in a couple of areas.
Yeah, she's
Heather Martin used to be, she's a math teacher
and
at West Kentucky. You know, I think our biggest challenge on dual credit is you have to have a master's or so many hours.
and you have to have so many hours at graduate level.
And most of our teachers don't get masters in like math or science or history or whatever. They get it in administration a lot of times, so
Curriculum instruction or administration.
can't do those dual credit classes.
When they changed that requirement, we lost several dual credit classes. It's been 4 or 5 years ago now. I can't remember the year, but because a lot of our teachers didn't have the required hours above your bachelor's degree, and that's an Illinois thing, as far as I understand. So it may be different in Kentucky. That's all I have.
Okay, we're going to go next to be done finished business, and if you'll bear with me for a minute. This is the last reading, final reading for these policies. 2.80, board member oath and conduct. 2.120, board member development. 4.45, insufficient fund checks and debit recovery. 4.140, waiver of student fees. 4.170, safety. 5.30, general personal hiring process and criteria. 5.60, general personal expense. 5.220, personal substitute teachers. 6.60, curriculum content. 6.240, field trips. 6.250, community resources persons and volunteers. 6.310, high school credit for non-district expenses, course substitutions, experience, re-entering students. 7.50, student administration and students transfer to and from non-district schools. 7.70, attendance and tenoring. Truancy. 7.100, health, eye, and dental examinations, immunizations, and exclusions of students. 7.190, student behavior. 7.250, student support services. 7.260, exemption from physical education. 7.270, administering medicines to students. 7.290, suicide and depression awareness and prevention. 7.305, student athlete concussions and head injuries. And that will be all that.
I have the hard copies earlier. Most of these are just subtle changes in the wording to cover ourselves under the changing law. There's a couple of them that are completely new. For example, 445, the insufficient funds. There's a whole new process for what we're supposed to do if someone doesn't pay their lunch bill. There's a new law on that. So that's where some of those came from. But basically, this will update and keep our board policy as current as possible. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
Make a motion.
Yeah, we need to make a motion.
Okay, need a motion on that last reading.
I'll make a motion.
Get the motion, to have a second.
I'll second.
Have a second. Any more discussion? Kathy, roll call please.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Larison?
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes. Mr. Summer?
Yes.
Ms. Still? Yes. Mr. Souders?
Yes. Okay, under new business, I have consideration for a Board of Education tour of schools during the day. I'd like for you all to kind of look at a date that we can get together.
If at all possible, I know you have to look at your schedules, but I'd like to get that done before we start our state testing. Cause that's
It's a disruption.
that's a bad time to be walking through.
When is that?
So, the tentative date was March, so we've got basically the whole month of, February, you know, but it'll go by quick. So do you guys have, you want me just to email some dates, or how do you wanna do that? March 11th is when the window's supposed to open for the, test.
Tuesdays are pretty well, one of our board members can't make it on Tuesdays yet, board meetings.
I had board
On
meetings
that day.
on Tuesday mornings.
So
at
Tuesdays
8 o'clock.
are out.
Tuesdays are out, but I want to be involved.
Okay. I don't think, as far as the schools are concerned, any day of the week matters. Friday's always more hectic than Monday, just so you know that. So every day you get closer to Friday, it tends to be more hectic.
So we can see them at their best.
It's up, yeah, it just depends on what you want to see.
And it needs to be brief, because it does disrupt the school.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't,
always kind of drag.
yeah, we wouldn't interrupt the
No.
classroom instruction, but I think it's good to see just kind of the flow of everything, how everything's organized, what people are doing, you know, how the system is set up. It's probably a good idea.
Want to start this first thing in the morning, say like around 8:30?
That'd probably be a good idea, yeah.
It takes all day to get, time you go to all the schools.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of time anyway. I mean, we could probably do it in just a little after lunch or so by the time you're done, but,
The big thing is the two principals that go between the two schools, they'd have to they'd have to make their arrangements to go into, that's a big
yeah,
thing.
they can adjust their schedule,
Yeah.
so that won't be a problem. Just what, you want, me to shoot some dates out there? How do you wanna handle that?
Be fine. And, you know, Donnie and Jennifer's,
I got time, you know,
How many days ahead do you guys need to know? That would probably be,
Jennifer, are there any days that you're off that we're not?
No. I have a half day that Friday. No, just let me know and I'll make it work.
if it's works, we'll probably shoot for maybe that week of the 11th, somewhere around in there, February, and we'll see what works for you all. I'll shoot some dates that week.
Just
And
probably
then-
not the 14th because there'll be a lot of parties.
They'll have a lot of sugar.
yeah, well, maybe we should wait till the President's Day week and shoot for like the 20th, 21st, or 22nd. That might be a good.
I'd be a little warm, you know, could be a little,
Yeah, we might get
Yeah,
away
weather,
from the snow too.
maybe.
I'll write that down and then
Okay.
that work,
just take a vote or something.
yeah, just pick a
20th.
day and I'll.
All right. Thank you.
Alrighty. Consideration of pupil transportation bid specifications and procedure.
Yeah, I sent that out. Basically, that was what our attorney had drawn up for us at one time. I updated the documents, and then I sent them back to them just to make sure it's all legit. But there's a pretty systematic process for that and several documents, and I'd like to get that approved so we can start the motion.
We gotta go out for bid again.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I read through that thing twice.
We don't have to, but our contract's up, and I felt like that's probably what you all wanted to do, is to go out for bid again and see what's out there. Last time, as you know, we only ended up with one bidder,
I know, that's,
so
Didn't you
I
say
think they
that,
make
that
kind
we
of a
don't have to take that first bid and get it back
they
out
all
of
get
bids again?
together and
I'll
say,
try
don't
again,
listen,
but
you don't
it
do
doesn't,
Last one.
doesn't mean it's gonna work.
I'll
You
jack it
don't
up
find
200,000.
a bus company between now and
I'll
then?
jack it
thought
up
about it.
200,000 and, you know, I'll get this and then you get an extra 200,000
Oh,
down
yeah,
the road.
that's what happens in the business world. That's what they do. Yeah.
But that's not legal, but
No, of
doesn't
course
mean it
it's
doesn't
I kinda
happen.
felt like that, you know,
It was odd that only one of them turned the bid in here.
a lot
We need
looked at it, picked them up and only one
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
turned me.
Alright, so we need a motion to go ahead and do that, consider for the,
Yeah, essentially, you're just making a motion to put it out for bid, given the specs of.
I'll make it motion.
I'll second it.
got a sec first and a second, any more discussion? Kathy, roll call please.
Mr. Souders,
Yes.
Miss Steele,
Yes.
Mr. Summer,
Yeah.
Ms. Rushing, yes.
Yes.
Miss Larison,
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Keeping you on your toes tonight.
Just
Next
checking
one would be
things out.
consideration of the quality framework assessments and improvement plans
It's free help.
from MES and Metropolis Junior High School.
Yeah.
So you want to explain that?
Yeah, this is, As you know, we had a underperforming subgroup of IEP students at MES and junior high from last year. So what we need to do is create a plan to address that. Obviously, there is grant money available, so we wouldn't have had to get all of this approved if we weren't going to apply for the grant money, but we are going to. We're going to try to utilize our staff and provide some extra time for our students that are struggling in the IEP subgroup. So what that's going to consist of is we're going to try to get some grants to pay teachers for some after-school tutoring and pull out during the day to pay them on the planning period just to give those kids some extra time with math, mainly math, a little bit of reading at MES and the junior high school. So part of that they had to go through the quality framework, which is something that Illinois adopted through their ESSA plan, and then they had to create a work plan or improvement plan, which based on what they found from reviewing the quality framework. And I sent those to you. Essentially, it outlines the tutoring and pull-out services, and that's going to be step one to see if we can impact that that special ed subgroup. So,
Sounds good.
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. We need a motion for that.
That's great. I'll make that motion.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion on that? Kathy?
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Larison?
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes. Mr. Summer?
Yes.
Ms. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes. Do I need to back up and make a motion for that consideration board trip?
no, because
I didn't think
just
so.
yeah, I just wanted to talk about it so we
Okay.
could get it.
Okay.
Probably should have worded it different.
Okay, then we're gonna go to actions from the closed session. Just have the one that we know of right now. Need a motion to,
What about the first thing? We gotta do the approval of the executive.
Oh, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
you're right. Hey, even the president makes it right. Need approval for the executive session minutes and 6-month review.
Yeah, this is the, every 6 months we go over the executive session minutes, make sure they were accurate, and then you vote to keep them closed. Yeah,
Keep them closed.
and it's that time of year again.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second, please.
I'll second that. And this is that they will remain closed.
Yes.
Yes. Any more discussion? Kathy?
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes. Ms. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Ms. Larison?
Yes.
Mr. Summer?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
He's testing to see if I can do a good job.
Yeah.
I did good.
Motion.
Yeah. That'll be a higher.
You can spell that.
Okay, on
Say
the
it.
executive
You can spell
session, personnel, Jessica Sawyer, a new hire, for a social worker. So I need a motion.
That Jessica was employed by us in that same role. It's been posted since she left. She would like to come back, so that would be a new hire, even though she's been there before.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion on Ms. Sawyer? All right.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Larison?
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes. Mr. Summer?
Yes.
Ms. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
And you don't need a motion for that one, but you need to acknowledge that one.
Okay, we had a, Miss Jamie Mizell is going to be the Unity Teacher's Aide. She will be taking the place of Mary Porter's job.
Yeah, Mary Porter left us last month. Jamie Mizell is currently at Brookport, and she will be transferring to Unity for that spot, which will open up a spot. The board acknowledges that. I think that's all.
I had
I move
something.
we adjourn.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
We
No,
gotta
I'm
acknowledge
not,
it.
I'm not
Hold on,
ready.
so-
This is quick. I just wanted to mention that, I think it's tomorrow, they're, through the IASB, they're having a lunch learn
Right.
thing. And tomorrow is a deep dive into the school report card. And actually, the last one I sat in on was about the board policies. I think I emailed you. So
And this-
anyway,
this
those
one
are great.
This has got a lot of new stuff that report card's new, so. that
They've
can
got
be-
several coming up, so if you have time in the lunch hours, good.
And I know,
I think those are all listed afterwards somewhere on that website.
Yes, they are. You can go out and look at all the
So you
documents.
can look at them
Right.
anytime.
And actually, a lot of times you can watch the whole thing.
yeah, that's recorded.
Right. 'Cause
I know the high school's playing McCracken this
Tomorrow.
week. And the junior high boys start the regional tournament tomorrow at West Frankfort against Harrisburg. And if they win that one, they'll play the winner of Marion, or they'll play Marion. So, so
Hopefully there'll be a
it'll be
successful
Tuesday,
tournament.
Thursday, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right, Larry's
Okay,
made the
we're ready to
motion.
leave. Got a motion for adjourn. Was Larry?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes.
Ms. Larison.
Yes.
Ms. Rushing, yes. Mr. Summer. Yes. Ms. Steele.
Yes.
Mr. South.
Yes.
Stay on that.
Thank you all very much.
It's gonna get cold. We never
Just a
get to
suggestion, as you, if you make your tours,
Right.
if you can, and do it on a Wednesday and save MES for last, they've got their after-school programs and our 4-H tech wizards.
Okay.
So if that is a day that's available, you might be able to, see those if you finish up at that school.
That's a great idea.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Suggestion.
yeah, I love to hear that y'all are touring it too, so.
No,